Jake Thompson's phone buzzed relentlessly on the cluttered dashboard of his beat-up truck, cutting through the static of the old radio. He was halfway through a long-haul delivery when the call came from the hospital in Fairlawn Ridge. His grandfather, Ben, had been hurt badly while out on his vintage motorcycle. The nurse's voice was clipped, urgent, broken arm, possible concussion. Jake floored the accelerator, his mind racing back to the sleepy suburb where he'd grown up, a place that had once felt like a safe haven but now reeked of trouble. By the time Jake screeched into the hospital parking lot, the sun was dipping low, casting long shadows over the quiet streets. Ben lay in the bed, his weathered face bruised and bandaged, his left arm in a sling. "It wasn't an accident, kid," Ben rasped, his eyes fierce despite the painkillers. "That which Susan Hale sent her goons after me during one of her compliance checks. Broke my arm like it was nothing." Susan Hale, the HOA president, had turned Fairlawn Ridge into her personal fiefdom. Jake listened as Ben spilled the ugly truth. Susan was scheming to force out longtime residents, selling the land dirt cheap to developers from Nexus Inc. for a sprawling tech campus. Holdouts like Ben were being harassed, fines, threats, now outright violence. "She's got the board in her pocket, armed security patrolling like it's a war zone," Ben said. "I refused to sell, so they came for me." Jake's blood boiled. A former Marine with scars from tours in the Middle East, he'd seen enough injustice to know when to fight back. His past was checkered fists that had flown too freely, a discharge that wasn't entirely honorable, but family was sacred. "They'll pay for this," he growled, already dialing his cousin Spike, a rough-edged biker from the Steel Guardians Club. Spike promised reinforcements, and Jake reached out to an old contact, a tech was named Byte, who could hack anything with a circuit. Fairlawn Ridge had once been a picture of suburban bliss, manicured lawns, kids on bikes, block parties under the stars. That changed 5 years ago when Susan arrived, a sharp-tongued real estate shark with ambitions bigger than the neighborhood. She revived the dormant HOA, turning it into a tyrannical machine. Rules multiplied overnight: no loud music, no unapproved paint colors, fees that skyrocketed to fund her improvements. Neighbors whispered about her iron grip. Board members who opposed her vanished from meetings, replaced by loyalists. Security patrols in black SUVs became a nightly sight, enforcing compliance with intimidation. But the real rot was deeper. Susan had allied with Nexus Incorporated, a corporate behemoth hungry for land. Her plan? Harass residents until they sold low, then flip the properties for massive profits. Legal threats turned to sabotage vandalized homes, anonymous calls in the night. Ben and a handful of holdouts formed a resistance, but Susan escalated, hiring mercenaries to make examples. The broken arm was just the latest atrocity. Jake didn't waste time. He inspected Ben's house that night, finding shattered glass and boot prints in the mud-clear signs of a struggle. The Steel Guardians rolled in at dawn, a thunderous roar of Harleys announcing their arrival. Spike, tattooed and burly, clapped Jake on the back. "Let's teach these suits a lesson." Neighbor Tom, a retired mechanic with eyes sharp as ever, slipped over with intel. Susan's operation included drones buzzing overhead, SUVs on constant patrol, all feeding surveillance back to her. Mike got to work, his laptop glowing in the dim garage. He cracked the drones' feeds in minutes, turning their eyes against them. That night, the crew ambushed a patrol SUV on a dark back road. Tires screeched, fists flew. They dragged a captured mercenary named Hayes from the wreckage. Zip-tied and sweating, Hayes spilled under pressure. Drone footage showed Susan meeting Victor Kane, a disgraced ex-CIA contractor Jake recognized from his military days. Kane was bad news. Black ops gone wrong, rumors of wet work for hire. The footage was damning. In a shadowy warehouse, Kane outlined the endgame. Rig a gas explosion on Chestnut Street to force evacuations, labeling it an accident to scare sellers into rock-bottom deals. The real deadline? 36 hours. Jake's jaw tightened. This wasn't just about land. It was terrorism for profit, endangering families, kids, even a newborn in one of the targeted homes. Interrogating Hayes pushed boundaries Jake thought he'd left behind. The mercenary confessed details, entry points, timers, the works. But Hayes's fear was palpable. Kane's crew played dirty, no mercy. Jake's methods teetered on the edge, a chokehold here, a threat there, stirring old demons. Was this justice or vengeance? He shoved the doubt down. The crew moved fast. They set a trap at the gas main, shadows melting into the night. When Kane's demo team slunk in 3 hard men with explosives, chaos erupted. Gunfire cracked the air. Jake tackled one, disarming him with a brutal efficiency honed in combat. They seized the gear. C4, blueprints, a ledger fat with payoffs to Susan. But flipping through it, Jake froze. Ben's signature stared back, dated weeks ago. Betrayal? His grandfather in on it? Doubt gnawed at him, a moral quake threatening to shatter everything. Proceed or confront? He chose to push on, but the seed was planted. Bite dove deeper, hacking Kane's laptop remotely. Files poured out, financials tracing bribes, contracts with Nexus Incorporated, even a draft press release hailing the revitalized community. It was a conspiracy web, corrupt to the core. Jake wrestled with the revelation about Ben. Justice demanded exposure, but family loyalty screamed otherwise. Maybe Ben had played double agent, infiltrating to sabotage from within, only to back out when lives were at stake. The theory fit, but it was a gamble. The climax loomed at the HOA meeting in the community center, a tense gathering where Susan and Kane would pressure the last holdouts to sign. Residents filed in, faces drawn, unaware of the storm brewing. Susan took the podium, her voice silky venom. This is for the future, sign now, or regret it. Kane lurked in the back, eyes scanning like a predator. Bite struck from afar, hijacking the projector. The screen flickered to life with the evidence. Drone footage of secret meetings, the ledger's incriminating pages, Hayes's taped confession spilling the explosion plot. Gasps rippled through the room. Shouts erupted. Lies, Susan screeched, but the crowd turned, murmurs swelling to outrage. Kane panicked, drawing a concealed pistol, aiming wildly. Nobody moves. But Ben, arm in sling, stepped forward from the shadows, his voice booming. It's over, Victor. He played his own recording, a hidden wire from his collaboration meetings. Ben had posed as a willing seller, drawing Kane out, exposing the full scheme. When the explosion plan surfaced, Ben refused, earning the assault that started it all. I used myself as bait, Ben admitted later. Knew it'd light a fire under you, Jake. But I had state troopers on speed dial, anonymous tip with proof. Sirens wailed outside. Troopers burst in, cuffs clinking as they hauled away Kane, Susan, and her guards. The evidence was ironclad: ledgers, footage, confessions ensuring long prison terms. But the controversy lingered. Ben's risky gambit had endangered everyone, manipulating his own grandson's rage. Was it heroic or reckless? Jake grappled with it, the line between right and necessary blurred forever. In the aftermath, Fairlawn Ridge exhaled. Celebrations lit up the streets, barbecues, laughter, a community reborn. The HOA reformed under Tom as president, draconian rules scrapped for common sense. Jake stayed a while, helping rebuild, finding a fragile peace in the quiet. He'd crossed lines: vigilante hacks, brutal takedowns that some called heroic, others criminal. Whispers of controversy followed. Did the ends justify the means? In a world where corporations and tyrants preyed on the weak, maybe they did. Fairlawn Ridge stood as a testament, harmony restored, but at what cost?